Super Smash Bros. Is a game that means a lot of things to a lot of people. It's the ultimate party game. It's the peak of competition.
Wombo combo! That ain't Falco! That ain't Falco!
And most importantly, it's a community. For 2 decades, Smash has brought people together. It's a crossover filled with characters everyone recognizes, but also a game that can bring casual players together with their competitive counterparts. And those competitive players have taken the game far beyond what it was initially meant to be. They've evolved the game and created something new. Something that can last the test of time, continue to bring people together, and can hold up the community. Super Smash Bros. Is much more than just a game. And this is its story.
I like all the Smash games, and I wish both communities would just work together more often, to be honest.
Falcon! Punch!
Masahiro Sakurai is one of Nintendo's greatest success stories. At 19 years old, he created Kirby while working for Nintendo partner HAL Laboratory, and over the next few years developed the character and his series into one of Nintendo's core franchises. But Sakurai was ambitious. He devoured games for research when trying to come up with his next project, and ended up spending a lot of time in arcades. There, he found himself drawn to competitive fighting games like Street Fighter II and The King of Fighters 95. One day while playing KOF at the arcade, Sakurai was faced with an opponent whose skills left a lot to be desired. It was only after demolishing them that he realized what he had just done. His opponents were a young couple who had just popped into the arcade to try some new games, and Sakurai annihilated them. Furthermore, the game itself didn't do the young couple any favors. It wasn't easy to understand, and the second they sat down to play, they were faced with an expert opponent. Sakurai was disappointed in himself, and the shock led him to come up with a new kind of fighting game. One where the skill floor was lower, where it would be harder for an incredible player to completely destroy their opponent. The game was Dragon King: The Fighting Game. A pitch developed by Sakurai and his mentor Satoru Iwata, Dragon King was a battle royale 4-player fighting game without health bars, so that players could keep fighting even after they took a beating. But when he pitched it to Nintendo's executives, Sakurai asked to replace Dragon King's generic martial artists with Nintendo's All-Stars. After a few months of development, Super Smash Bros. Was released on Nintendo 64, which sold over 1 million copies in Japan and 5.5 million worldwide. The game itself was a first entry in a brand new genre, something no one had ever seen before. Word of mouth spread quickly as the sales picked up, guaranteeing its success. But its incredible success meant that Nintendo wanted a sequel for their upcoming GameCube console, and they wanted it in 13 months. Sakurai has described the year of work he did on Super Smash Bros. Melee as one of the worst times of his life. He lived in his office and oversaw every aspect of development. The game itself was designed with more mechanics in place for hardcore players to help great players distinguish themselves. But the game was also a better experience for casual players, with more single-player modes, collectible trophies, and more stages, items, and characters to play with. It was huge, and something that Sakurai himself still calls the sharpest entry in the series, and the one most suited to competitive play.
Nearly all of Nintendo's popular characters have been vividly brought to life on the Nintendo GameCube. You've seen Super Smash Bros. Here. Tomorrow you can actually play it on the show floor.
It was also an instant success. The game sold 1 million copies in 2 months, making it the first GameCube game to do so. By the end of its lifespan, it sold over 7 million copies, and is the best-selling GameCube game of all time, with nearly a third of all GameCube owners having a copy.
Super Smash Brothers!
The birth of competitive Melee can be traced back to Northern California's Tournament Go series, where Matt DZ Dahlgren hosted Melee tournaments at his house and set the first competitive rule sets in stone. Most Smash fans played the same way, on any stage and with items on. Sure, some people preferred stock or time, and some maniacs liked coin matches, but in the end, no matter who you played with, you were getting a similar Melee experience. But people competing at the very first Melee tournaments around the US slowly put together a rule set that banned items and certain stages to reduce the impact of randomness on a match. By 2004, the commonly accepted tournament rule set banned all items and used a small selection of available stages, though that rule set was far from the one we see today.
Ready, go!
As the years went on, the stage list got pared down and the rule set got stricter, allowing just 6 of the game's 29 stages. On top of that, a metagame developed that favored specific characters, leading to the creation of tier lists that saw characters like Fox, Falco, Sheik, and of course, Marth on top.
Lands on that platform. Ken combo. Chillin comes with a convincing Ken combo and takes Chillin down pretty seriously.
To outsiders, this seemed insane. Why throw away so much of the game? Why remove items, limit stages, and tell people that most of their favorite characters were effectively unplayable? Because the game was meant to be played casually, there were no shortage of memes that poked fun at the competitive Melee community.
I challenge you to a game of Smash Brothers. What's this? No items. Fox only. Final destination.
But the excitement around the competitive scene was spreading. Many traditional fighting game fans gave Melee a look, and found that it was surprisingly similar to games like Street Fighter and Marvel vs. Capcom.
So the first game I was looking for was obviously Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and I played like 3 games at the time. I was playing Melee, Guilty Gear, 4 games. I was playing Melee, Guilty Gear, Third Strike, and Marvel 2, but Marvel 2 was always the one that caught my attention the most.
Competitive Melee was young in 2007, and many of the techniques we associate with the game today weren't yet invented. But players still put on incredible performances, showing a game that was faster than many fighting games, but simple enough for everyone to understand. However, there was one thing that was the same. Nintendo didn't give the competitive community the time of day.
Nintendo's kind of been very much the opposite, where they don't really embrace in competitive communities at all. They're difficult to even get streaming rights. Like, we haven't even asked them for like TVs, money, anything. Like, just can we show this game that we believe in, that you created, stream it for our professional events, and they've been reluctant to even do that.
The earliest legends of Melee fought for dominance and carved out a legacy that would inspire later Melee players.
Congratulations to PC Chris. He came in at the beginning of the season, stunned everyone by beating Ken. He outlasts everyone else. He's going to take home $10,000 and be crowned the national champion of Super Smash Brothers.
Really incredible.
And as the years went on, a new generation of players arrived on the scene. Younger players who pushed Melee further than ever before. Guys like Mewtwo King, Mango, and Armada all rose to prominence and showed off what competitive Melee could be. But their rise was tempered by the announcement of a new Smash game.
There's one more title I guess I should mention that will turn that fight into an absolute brawl.
By 2005, Sakurai was hard at work on a new Smash game for Nintendo's next console that was going to be bigger, better, and include support for Nintendo's nascent Wi-Fi network for online play.
And trust me, it's the best Smash Brothers ever, by far.
Super Smash Bros. Brawl was going to be a staple for the Wii in the same way that Melee was for the GameCube. And in order to get people interested, it promised third-party characters, a story mode with animated cutscenes, and more content than any Smash game ever had.
Super Smash Bros. Brawl is average, if you intend to play it by yourself. As a multiplayer game, it nears perfection. Though the Subspace Emissary is a disappointment, the fast-paced fighting, bountiful modes and customization options, and a deep set of hidden content to be unearthed give it staying power that few other games possess.
258 songs, 41 stages, 35 characters, a level editor, the story mode, collectible trophies and stickers, even demos of games that some Smash characters debuted in. It was unprecedented. It was enormous. And it sold like crazy. To this day, Brawl remains the single best-selling Smash game of all time, with over 13 million copies sold, and was critically acclaimed. But for the hardcore Melee fans, there were problems.
It didn't wow me like right off the bat, and I was kind of worried about that, at least from a more Melee perspective.
It was so slow, not what we expected at all.
In response to how the competitive Melee community brought the game into a complicated and technical display of skill, Sakurai simplified Brawl. Wave dashing and L canceling were gone entirely, and while there were some advanced movement techniques, the game was much slower, and every dash gave you an entirely random chance of tripping and being punished for trying to move quickly. On top of that, the game's balance was something of a mess. Melee was top-heavy, but no character in that game was as overpowered as Meta Knight.
Oh, very nice power shield. Hopefully Ally doesn't choke. He can definitely bring this back. Mewtwo with a great mix-up, going behind him for the grab, and finally kills him, yo. Mewtwo is the winner of MLG 2010 Orlando. Crazy.
The entire metagame revolved around Meta Knight, and there were even serious discussions of banning him competitively. Melee fans gave Brawl a chance, but the game just didn't appeal to them.
I'd say like summer of that year, not even too long after its release, that's when most people started to realize, at least people that had gone to Melee tournaments, that this is not a legit game for tournaments, so that's about when I stopped.
EVO, the biggest fighting game tournament in the world, added Melee in 2007, but swapped it out for Brawl in 2008 and ran it with random stages and items on. This led to a complete unknown defeating Ken, the greatest Melee player in the world, in the grand finals.
Smash Bros. To play! Smash Bros. To play! Landtalk CPU! Your Smash Bros. Brawl EVO 2K8 champion! Make some noise!
Melee entered something of a dark age in 2008. Newer players were drawn to Brawl, but the diehards couldn't stand it. Nearly a year went by without a single major Melee tournament until a player named Alucard ran Revival of Melee in March 2009, a full year after the release of Brawl.
Melee looked like it was on its death throes. And it was like, you know what, let's just do one more, as farewell.
ROM brought some of Melee's finest back from obscurity and helped the community persevere. They founded some of Smash's biggest tournaments, from Genesis to Apex. And as the old guard began to fade away, a new generation of Melee masters rose to take their place. The Five Gods, Mewtwo, Armada, Mango, Hungrybox, and PPMD dominated the Melee scene after the release of Brawl. One of those five won every single tournament that at least two attended from 2008 to 2015. Their incredible play, unbelievable consistency, and absolute dominance helped usher Melee into a new golden era. They were exciting to watch.
And if they did double blind, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that is a monster tipper. Is that going to be the stop?
Oh,
Randall
was there at the exact moment.
Entertaining personalities.
The King Mango Nation in ruins. Because Mewtwo, the Mega Bus, and the Fire Nation attacked.
And most importantly, incredible at the game.
Just a ceiling so.
Oh, looking like pee-pee.
Damn. Oh, Kevin. Yo, you know Kevin.
Yo, Kevin Nandy. Yo, you watching, Kevin?
I know you're watching, Kevin.
The community rallied around the Five Gods, and the attention they brought the game helped the community grow again. In 2013, the Melee community came out on top in a charity fundraising competition to get a spot on the EVO main stage. With nearly $95,000 raised for cancer research, Melee was set to appear at EVO again for the first time in 6 years. But at the last second, Nintendo stepped in and tried to derail everything.
And remember, Nintendo actually said you can't stream it. Like literally like a day before EVO started, they're like, sorry, you can't stream it. I remember seeing that on my phone right when I was about to get on the airplane. I was like, you can't, oh, Nintendo, what are you doing?
The day before the tournament, Nintendo demanded that EVO not stream it. It was their right as the game's publisher, but a right they'd never exercised before. And members of the community got up in arms.
Nintendo has taken it away from the fans, literally saying that EVO can hold the tournament, but you can't actually host the games. This is freaking ridiculous. They can't stream now. Like,
Luckily for Melee fans, their outcry was enough to get Nintendo to back off and even sponsor the tournament. But it was yet another sign of the rift between the company and the community keeping their game alive. EVO 2013 was the biggest Melee had ever seen, with 709 entrants, and played a pivotal role in its long-standing success.
Honestly, James Chan, it has been an honor. It's been a great weekend. On behalf of the Smash community, again, thank you to the entire EO staff for keeping us in their minds, letting us seize this opportunity and make the most of it.
Melee was growing once again, and this time, not even a whole new Smash game could stop it. Melee was still going strong, and Brawl was well on the way out by the time Nintendo revealed Super Smash Bros. For 3DS and Wii U. This time around, though, Nintendo and Sakurai wanted to make a few more concessions to the hardcore audience they tried to chase away with Brawl. The game was faster, with online modes that allowed for 1v1 matches with no items. Nintendo even held an invitational tournament before launch that featured some of Melee and Brawl's best.
He got one! Super Fighting Robot! Mega Man!
Won by Brawl Pro Zero, the Invitational set the tone for the rest of Smash 4's lifespan. It performed better competitively than Brawl, and was the single largest Smash tournament of all time at EVO 2016.
Coming down with aggressive option. If Ally was in that situation, I feel like he would have lost his stock. And there it is! There it is indeed, Ally!
But while it seemed like Sakurai and Nintendo cared about competitive play for the first time, it just wasn't enough for Melee diehards.
I hate Smash 4. I hate it. Just thinking about Smash 4 makes me angry.
The fact that the games were split across two versions meant that characters like Ice Climbers and Pokemon Trainer were cut from the roster due to the 3DS's technical limitations. And some of the DLC characters added to the game post-launch upended the meta entirely.
Time for the best part.
Whoa! I've never seen Bayonetta do that. I've never seen Bayonetta!
Like, she's one of the characters that if you don't know what you're doing, you will just... I lost. Whoops. Like, that happens. Like, you have to know how to play, like the most specifically, you have to know how to play against Bayonetta.
But most importantly, Smash 4 was held back by being on Nintendo's least popular console ever, the Wii U. The 3DS version outsold its console counterpart, but the competitive scene was stuck on Wii U, where the game sold less than any of the series' previous entries. That's not to say Smash 4 didn't create incredible moments in its own right. Zero, the Invitational champion, went on to put together the greatest win streak in Smash history, if not in all of competitive gaming.
What? Zero! What a play!
And his first defeat at MLG World Finals 2015 made for an amazing end to a storyline that helped build Smash 4 into a serious competitive game.
One more stock. Hey, you can hear the chat right now. They want one more stock. This is looking amazing for Nairo.
Absolutely.
Zero looking like he does not have the answers today.
Oh my God. Oh, it's over! It's over! He did it! Nairo!
Smash 4 continued to bring in incredible talent, from Zero to Nairo to MKLeo and more, all pushing the game as far as it could go.
You can no longer safely side beyond the ledge. Oh my God!
That was less than 45 seconds. That was
Double nair to tipper forward
seconds.
smash on the Smashville platform.
But all the while, Melee kept chugging along, growing and evolving as the years went on.
And he goes for the up throw up here. This time it hits, and we have our champion, Mango. Air dodge. Yep, that's it. That's it. Leffen wins. Leffen makes the comeback. He beats all four gods in the wake.
While Zero dominated Smash 4, the five gods of Melee duked it out over the top spot in the scene. Armada was on top for years until Hungrybox stepped up and finally ended his reign.
Hungrybox presses forward on the Gray Stick, and that's the end of EVO 2016. Hungrybox is but a miraculous win in set one of Grand Finals.
And just a few years later, Leffen, the Godslayer who defeated all 5 gods years before he rose to prominence, finally won the game's top prize.
Armada has no shield. Armada has Leffen absolutely tearing through everyone today, Toph.
The 2 games coexisted in peace, but they were completely separate. One competitive community that got to play nice with Nintendo, and one that was more distant. And for the first time ever, Nintendo actually wanted to change that. Smash 4's biggest problem was something that Nintendo just couldn't fix, no matter how many patches they issued. And so, shortly after wrapping up Smash 4's DLC, Sakurai got to work on his biggest project yet. A Smash game that would dwarf all others, and possibly even bring all the Smash communities together. For the casual fans, that meant bringing back every character in Smash history, alongside a few new ones and the first single-player mode since Brawl. For the competitive Smash players, that meant making a game that was faster, better balanced, and had more online options than ever before. Of course, things weren't perfect.
The online in Smash Bros. Ultimate is still the worst, in my opinion at least. For its time, it's the worst online / matchmaking I have ever seen by a AAA developer. And this is a AAA developer that sold 11 days, 3 million copies.
But whether it was the plan or not, the game launched to acclaim from all sides. Casual fans, Smash 4 players, and Melee veterans. Despite the shorter development cycle, the reused assets, and the relatively small amount of new content compared to previous Smash games, Ultimate was massive and impossible for even the Melee community to ignore.
I feel like this game, like the new Smash, it's already better than Smash 4 if you ask me. I personally prefer it to Smash 4 by quite a bit.
Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is not Melee, and likely never will be. Many top Melee players won't be making a full-time switch anytime soon. But the game is fast and complex enough to satisfy both Smash 4 and Melee fans to some extent, and the early days of the competitive scene have seen players from both thrive.
It's one thing to know a matchup, right? It's one thing to understand what works. It's another thing to play against the god!
Oh my gosh, we got those 3! That all started from down tilt!
On top of that, it's proven to be a success for the casual Smash crowd. With over 12 million copies sold as of January 2019, it has become the fastest-selling Nintendo game of all time. Finally, Sakurai gave the community a game that can cater to every type of Smash fan. Sakurai's philosophy of making a fighting game that anyone can understand still lives on in Ultimate. But for seemingly the first time, the concessions made to competitive players are enough to unite the disparate Smash communities, even if only for a brief moment. The antagonism between Sakurai and the competitive scene is finally in the past.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. If you want more great content just like this, be sure to hit the subscribe button.